welcome back to the program. You're watching Morning Thailand with Phi and Golf. Of course, like I said, we're going to report a little bit once again on flood situation because obviously it will be ongoing. I believe that we're going to report it at least for another 2 weeks. It doesn't look that bright. So at this point, there once again, Prachinburi, I think, got the hardest hit. Kabinburi district in particular, they say that at this point in Kabinburi hospital, the area around there, the water is at 80 centimeters height already. So that means that it's very difficult for any small cars to pass by. And the saddest part is that around the area, of course, there's a lot of residents as well as a market area. So it's quite heavily populated, I would say. There has been a cut in terms of electricity already due to the fact that in some spot the water went as high as 1.4 meter, so it reaches the electricity as such that would create the electrocution to anyone. Obviously, if you know, electricity travel pretty well with water. So that means that should any electricity leaked out at all, you're gonna get electrocuted instantly if you walked around the area. So they have to cut that off. That create a lot of problems to people who still lived at home, and also in terms of water as well, due to the fact that they cannot discharge any more water in terms of the tap water for anyone because several of the pipe were actually broken. So it's not only the fact that they cannot commute. Talk about not commute. In Phetchaburi province, there has been a report of flash flood so bad that it cut off the road that caused the Gariang tribal to the Karen tribal to not be able to commute at all, getting in and out of the area. They say that is stranded about 1,250 people altogether of Karen tribes, not able to leave the area. So the rescue team has to go in and giving them food and rescue and such that they needed. At this point, one of the biggest report would have to be the fact that Amata Nakhon, which is a area where a lot of industrial estates located. At this point, there has been a report already that 2 of the factories have to close down, not because it was flooded. A lot of the factories owner around the area has to come out and voice their concern because a lot of people seems to think that the factories were flooded. It weren't flooded. The 2 factories that have to close down is due to the fact that they weren't able to, all the staff weren't able to go in at all because the flood around the area, so they could not get to the factory, but the factory itself is not underwater. Now, in Chao Phraya River, obviously, there has been have seen quite a bit of high water level. And they say that in 4 districts that might be a spot where they would call it flood prone is Bang Ban, Pranakon Si Ayutthaya, Pak Hai, as well as Tha Rua district. So at this point, there has been a little bit of a concern in terms of trying to help the people in the area.
Speaking about the situation in Bangkok, it doesn't look really bright at all because, as I said yesterday, because the water level of the Chao Phraya River has been increasing day by day.
Oh yeah, and
but luckily there's no heavy rain in Bangkok.
And Kun Port Prasop seems to be quite sure that it will be okay within at least 2 days, that it would not reach to the eastern part of Bangkok in terms of the water from Kabinburi district and of Prachinburi province. However, at this point, the Department of Disaster Prevention and Mitigation has came out and said that the situation has eased out a little bit in 11 provinces. However, there's still floods in 27 provinces. At this point, the death toll reached 36 already.
Wow, that's a lot.
There's a lot, and obviously, we have talked about this before. A lot of them were children. Yeah, that decided to, swimming and such. And obviously, we have said this before, avoid waterfall.
Yeah.
Because flash flood, it just comes so fast. There's no way you're going to see it coming at all.
I don't think parents should let their children out of the home at all.
Well, not to
As they
detain them,
didn't have
but
to
yeah,
go to
in
school.
terms of you have to be very, very careful. Be a lot more careful than you used to. Just
Because we
to
don't
be
know
safe.
what will be going underwater, like
Exactly.
animals or electrocution.
Yeah, that's another one. All
I'm
right.
not talking about crocodiles.
Not yet.
Now moving on to another story back in the capital and back on the roads, as this week we have heard a lot of reports concerning the measures that have to be imposed to tackle the traffic congestion here in Bangkok after Kun Kamronwit Thuprajang, the Metropolitan Police Chief, has threatened punishment to superintendents and deputies who fail to tackle the traffic congestion in their area. And police major
have to have a lot of issues on their hands, don't they? They have to clean up their
Yes, of course they
station,
do.
And now they have to make sure that traffic congestion is eased out.
And regarding this press conference of the Police Major General Adul Narongsak, the Deputy Police Chief of the Metropolitan Police Bureau in charge of the traffic, who came up with a very creative ideas, I've got to say that there will be a ban of the old cars aged around between 7 to 9 years.
Oh,
That will be banned from
Yeah.
the roads in hopes of solving the traffic congestion, because they say that old cars are prone to cause a accident
right.
and broken down during
the
the
traffic.
traffic. Yeah, and that stirs pretty much criticism and protest
Of
in the
course.
social community to the idea itself and to the officer, to the police as a whole. However, that would be just a proposal and impossible to be true, because yesterday Kun Chacha Sithipan, the transport minister, has expressed his own idea regarding this proposal. He said that the idea is not suitable for Thailand traffic situation at all, because Police Major General Adun also revealed that he got this idea from Japan,
Oh,
which seems to be a lot better
well, of course,
than
they
the
built.
situation in Thailand.
They produce a lot of cars. Plus,
The cars are cheap.
their cars are cheap, and their roads are, I believe, that a lot more than what we have here. We do have roads, but it's not enough.
And
because
about the public transportation
sucks
and such.
here. I'm sorry, it is, especially bus. Like, if any of you ever think that, man, why did Thailand not clean up ourselves in terms of the public transportation? I agree with you.
Yeah.
Especially bus system.
And Kun Chacha Sithipan also thinks the same. He said that the condition of the public transportation in Bangkok is not that up to the standard yet. So they have to improve the system in order to open more choices to Bangkok commuters. And that includes the repairing, I'm not talking about the budget.
Oh,
Right?
right.
Is it going to signal that the budget to improve the system of public transportation
Do we have any budget? That's another
set
problem.
aside from that whole major
The-
infrastructure project?
Right, with the fast train and such. I think buses are more needed at this point, revamped.
And more with that, Kun Atsathai Ratana Dirok, the Deputy General of the Public Transport Department, he said that up until these days, there are 1.9 million cars of more than 10 years old throughout the country, 870,000 in Bangkok alone. And if all those cars will be banned in the future, for real, where are all those cars will be gone?
Yeah, what am I going to do with my old cars? That's the thing. I'm not going to park it at home if it's going to be able to work pretty well.
Yeah, and that was the reaction of the transport minister. And also, there's a report from the public bus company that
Right.
travel between provinces as well. คุณวุฒิชาติ กัลยาณมิตร the executive of the public bus company, said that they are going to improve security measures with their vehicles by installing 800 security cameras on their cars, the public bus that travel between provinces that are risk of getting into accident, especially when they travel at night. And also they would install a black box, the same one as in the plane, to record all details during the journey.
Right.
Because it would be hard to get exact information following an accident. So
Right.
if that happens, they'll know what had happened there. And therefore, there are also measures about the public van as well, because they said that one of the causes of the traffic congestion in Bangkok are all those public drivers who drive
course.
public bus and vans that seems to be very expertise, and they couldn't care less about the traffic regulations.
I don't think they even have any expertise. They just have that daring feeling in them. They think that they're riding a roller coaster and we somehow were invited along.
So yesterday there seems to be some measures there. They're announcing 12 points that are going to face a lot more stricter measures in Bangkok, that van drivers have to be very careful. First of all, the area around the Democracy Monument on Ratchadamnern Avenue, the Victory Monument, the Mawchit Terminal, Chatuchak area, Major Ratchayotin, Minburi, Nong Chok, Pata, Pin Klao, the Pata department store in Pin Klao district, and Mega Bangna store, Future Park, Rangsit store in Bangkok area, and the Bangna intersection. Most of all the areas that have a very serious traffic congestion, because they allow the vehicles to park in the illegal spots.
Right, the non-parking zone, really.
So they are going to taking a very good care of the public vehicles there. So
Now,
very careful.
There also a report that on the 15th, starting from the 15th, they will require the safety belt for each seat as well for the public transportation. Whether or not it's going to be used, that's another question.
Or that would be another regulations that they are going to violate.
Because the thing is, you can have it, but whether or not people in the car or in the public transportation will actually use it, that's another problem.
And about the 10 routes in Bangkok that I reported yesterday, one of the major spots that face a lot of traffic congestion, that they are going to impose stricter measures of the traffic there. They're going to take effect this 20th.
Okay, so hopefully we'll see a little bit better, because the thing is there could be accident, but I believe that if there's prevention measures in place, it might might prevent accident from happening, plus might prevent a lot of deaths as well. All right, moving on to another case. We reported about this before, but this is like months back, about the LPG subsidies that obviously is a little bit different. The government, the Energy Ministry, decided to subsidize the household LPG. That's mean that if you use it for cooking and such, it will cost a little less in one of those tanks. However, obviously these days a lot of cars use LPG gas to run as well. That means that there are quite a bit of a big loophole in terms of using the LPGs, claiming that it was for household, but
And corruption follows.
exactly, and use that for your cars instead. And there has been quite a bit of a development. Yesterday there has been a talk already about arrest warrants against 4 of the biggest the gas filling company altogether, Day Energy Gas. They got 62 of the arrest warrants against them. In terms of the charges against them, as well as the August LPG Singburi 74 charges. The August LPG Pisanulok also got 55 charges, while on-site service got 93 charges. But two of the biggest one that came out already and said that they did not violate anything is the Picnic Corporation company as well as World Gas, saying that they did not violate any regulations because they said that the thing was that they are the one that's supposed to be filling all these gas, and they claim that there's not any regulations against them delivering the gas themselves, and they say that they have done it everything according to the law. But at this point, the police has already undergo a lot of investigation against them to see whether or not they have violated the subsidies, because otherwise that means that we're gonna lose a lot of revenue that we're supposed to get from the tax and such, that or even the subsidies that's supposed to be for the poor income people would no longer goes to them, but received by those who are already rich instead. So at this point, I believe that a lot of the LPG companies will have to answer to the police stage investigation because, like I said, there are a lot of charges against them. But the two has come out and denied. I did not say that whether or not they're wrong, because obviously they can still have to have a lot of investigation with this particular case.
And just to wrap up this session here, I've got one more report with the Kun Prasop Suratsawadi.
Of course.
The minister who has seemed to be having a lot of duties on his hand already, but that's not enough because he has already come up with a new idea. The construction of hotels, which is not regular hotels, but the high-end hotels, and situate in the national park.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Because we seems to be okay with building infrastructures in the areas like, well, Mae Wong Dam is one of the biggest one that we have heard of late. But now, high-end hotel, huh? Where are we gonna get to go to this place?
And he revealed that he got this idea from the Prime Minister, Kun Yingluck Shinawatra, and she got that idea from her trips to Tanzania and Kenya. Yeah, if you can imagine the high-end accommodation
safari,
located in the heart of safari.
Right.
So she got that idea because she thinks that would be a good way to promote tourism and our national parks, our
it will be a good way.
And cultural.
Mind you, it will be a good way to promote tourism. Yes, whether or not it's going to be a good way to conserve and preserve our environment, that's another question.
But what about the effects on the environment?
Well, that's the thing. That's what I said. That's going to be another question.
They've got to conduct one more study apart from the Mae Wong Dam.
Right. Of the EIA. They have to.
So this is just the idea. However, they have already sent a letter to Department of National Park, Wildlife and Conservation already about this particular project to construct a high-end hotel. And that would going to be 2 pilots projects in Guiburi National Park in Prachuap Khiri Khan Province and Tarutao National Park in Satun Province. So one in the western part of the country and another down south.
That's the thing. Tarutao is such a beautiful national park.
Yeah.
You know what though? I'm not against open a national park having like a cabin or something like that. That a little bit more eco-friendly, like eco-friendly tourism kind of thing to encourage that. But high end, obviously, only rich people would be able to get there. And I think that's what their aim, right?
Yeah, the targets, they aims at high-profile senior politicians.
I have heard about this project before.
Really?
Yeah, but not during this government. Oh. Yes. All right. Any more to add?
Wait, because you've got to be very careful in conducting the study before you're going to do anything further, because you don't want to face more Mae Wong situation.
Exactly. Obviously. All right, let's take a short break because we're going to have political updates in terms of the Constitutional Court that has already came out and reject one of the petition against the charter change. And of course, you have, once again, we have the Internal Security Act in place right here in Bangkok. So please stay tuned.